Oh yeah, another good evening to you, and this is your man, Mr. Darnay, and we are coming live, www.intown.tonight.com, and it's a Thursday night. I always look forward to Thursday nights, you know what I mean? So I can get with the people and talk to the people about things that are important. We're going to sit back a little bit and relax a little bit and be a little grown for a while. Let me get the day off of it. Let me take the edge off. To those that live through the day, and all right. Sit back and relax a little bit and listen to the track. This track was given to us by Black Syndicate Entertainment. If you need hot tracks or hot concepts, songwriting, hook writing, go to the website www.mtowntonight.com. Look up Black Syndicate Entertainment. The information is there to get in contact with them. They got the hottest tracks you need and want. Feel free to get in contact with them courtesy of mtowntonight.com. So relax a little bit and enjoy the track while we get ready to bring the show for you tonight. Getting ready to get dug in here. We got a beautiful show for you tonight. The topic of discussion tonight will be something that I know everybody loves to talk about. uh, that's dealing with bill collectors, handling bill collectors. We're going to get in depth with that and talk about how to respond to the phone calls, how to respond to the mail that's sent to you in your mailbox, and if they're emailing you, how to respond to your emails. So we're going to have some fun with it. We're going to try to learn something and get an understanding of what we can do to make the day a little bit easier for you. All of us have responsibilities. All of us have things that we have to do. But somewhere throughout that process, we have to find some level ground that we can just be able to push back and say, hey, these are not problems. These are just issues. And if I deal with them as such, most cases I should come out with a pretty good outcome. So just sit back a little bit, and once again, we're going to sit back and let the music play a little bit, get the day up off of us, and we'll get right into it. All right. Once again, that track is coming from Black Syndicate Entertainment right here in Memphis, Tennessee, for the hottest tracks, R&B, hip hop, whatever you're looking for, the hottest tracks in town. Please get in contact with them. Ask for your boy Lansky. He'll take care of you. Black Syndicate Entertainment, excuse me. All right. How's everybody doing this evening? We're 1 hour out from another fantastic Friday. And I like coming to you on the back end of Thursday because gives me an opportunity to get through the day and you get through the day. And if we're at this point in the day, we pretty much have made it. You know, we've seen the day go through. We've gone through the processes of whatever took place today. We lived through it, and we're here to celebrate it. So congratulations to you on being able to be here tonight. I thank you on behalf of my staff as well for tuning in with us on Thursday nights to see what's going on and see how we're doing things. And we're always trying to bring important, helpful information to you so that you can be a better person and help someone else be a better person. It's all about helping each other. There's no hole that we can fall in that we're going to get out of unless we truly, truly, truly work together. And I'm not talking about just a particular race of people. I'm talking about all of us as human beings. We have to learn to work together. and continuously work together. We all have faults. We all have differences of opinion. We all have different ways of thinking. But in the midst of all of that, we have to come together, find that one thread that connects all of us. And one for certain is being a human being. We have to take that thread and weave it into a relationship of helpful prosperity throughout the community, throughout the world. Quite frankly, that's what we're looking for. So, congratulations again on making it through the day and taking care of those things that you needed to take care of. And if you didn't get a chance to finish it today, with the blessings from above, hopefully you'll get a chance to take care of it tomorrow. I think you will. All right, all right. Let me say this to you. Being an individual that has worked in the uh, finance and collection industry for 20 years or more, I'm speaking from experience of being on one side of the fence as being a debtor, being the person that owes, uh, um, excuse me, the person that owes the debt, as well as the debtor, meaning the person that is trying to get you to pay. And it's a tricky thing because when you're on this side of the collection side, you know, the part of coming in as being a human being yourself should come into play, because if you're not careful, you can get yourself in a position mentally where the job would want you to be basically a no nonsense person, where you're not open to understanding of problems or issues with regard to your customer base. You have to be able to be the type of collector that, despite all of the issues that the customer says that he or she may have, you still want your money. And that's the way that they think, that's the way that they operate. Now, on the flip side of that, being the customer, we all go through things. We all have things that take place in our lives that sometimes take us off the track that we're on, railroad us, and put us in a situation to where we may be getting a little bit behind on some things, or not paying things the way that we want to do them or are used to doing them. And, you know, life throws you a curveball. Life just does what it does. We have to learn how to adjust to it. And in dealing with bill collectors, sometimes by them not having that understanding that we need for them to have sometimes, um, it can be tricky. And to some people, a lot of people, it can be worrisome to the degree of, as we talked about in earlier videos, anxiety and depression. So we're going to talk about dealing with these bill collectors and how we can deal with them and keep ourselves in a position to where we're not hurting, and hopefully they can get some of the desired results that they want. Now, let me say this to you also. At no point in time am I telling you not to pay your bills. We all have bills to pay, and we all must pay them. I'm talking to you and will be talking to you about how to deal with the individuals that are calling you about these bills, how to handle these particular people, how to handle their phone calls. Now, I was a collector years ago in the late 80s, early 90s, um, for a finance company where the interest rate was running anywhere between 20 to 26% on a dollar. So basically, if you borrowed a dollar, you had to pay them back $1.26, $1.20 to $1.26. You had to pay 26 cents on the dollar. That's pretty high interest. And that was primarily, at that time, that was primarily for people that had questionable credit. Now, back in those days, not too long ago, but at the same time, back in those days, credit was important. But the bigger picture was, you had the opportunity to go into an office and sit down with an individual and say, "Hi, I'm Mr. or Mrs. Q customer, and I'd like to apply for a loan." And if you applied for a loan, then you would fill out the application. That individual that gave you that application would accept it from you and go over that application, your information. They would check your credit. They'd tell you, "Okay, Mr. and Mrs. or Mrs. Customer, We'll call you in about 3 hours and let you know what our answer is. And they would check your credit. They would check your employment. They would check your address if they could. They weren't as tough as they are now with regards to certain things, but for the most part, they definitely would check your employment to verify you. They would make a physical phone call and verify your employment. They would also call if you were renting. They would call your landlord if you gave the number, if you had the information. And quite frankly, you couldn't do the application if you didn't have the information. You'd have to get it. But they would call your landlord if you were renting, and they would inquire as to whether or not you lived there. They wouldn't ask about how long not necessarily how long you've lived there, but they wouldn't try to get into too much specific stuff. They really wanted to know that you lived there. So if the apartment complex verified that you lived there, for the most part, they would go along with that. Some companies back then asked how much you paid to go along with what you said on your application, how long you've been there, comparing that to what you had on your application. But for the most part, people gave you the benefit of the doubt. In a lot of cases, they would even call on your job and just say, hey, is Mr. or Mrs. Customer there? And if that person said, well, she's off today or he's off today, that was enough information for them to accept the fact that you worked there. Not all of the scrutiny that they have going on today. And we understand why, but still. Okay? So, um, in those days, I would call people that were 30 days behind, 60 days behind. And if you got too far behind, such as a 90-day account, then I would actually come looking for you in a company car to your address. These were pretty rough tactics when it got to be a little bad. If you got 90 days behind back then, they came looking for you, you know. It wasn't a phone call every day, every day, every day, 2 days after you were due. But after your fifth day, they begin to start the collection process. And for the most part, I can say back in those days, that was not too bad. Nobody really got on anybody's nerves with regard to bill collecting. Now, if you got behind too far, of course, then what's going to happen is going to happen. They're going to proceed on you. They're going to go to you. They're going to try to get garnishments and all of the other things that they have up their sleeve to try to collect their money. Now, fast forward to today. Things have definitely changed. Definitely changed with regard to the ability for them to do certain things to collect the debt. I've seen it as far as them actually calling an individual that lives at one house to inquire as to whether or not they know the people next door and try to get information out of those people about the people next door. I've seen it as far as actually going up on a job and waiting on them at their job to talk to them about a debt. I worked for a particular company that literally wanted you to go to that job and sit on that job to catch that customer to talk to them about their bill. We're not talking about a house note. We're talking about, in this particular case, a title loan. That's crazy. So today's collection procedures by companies way, 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 way deep off in the dark hole of collecting. And the laws are there to protect you, but there are also laws there that are giving them the leeway to do certain things. If you're just a person that's refusing to pay and not willing to pay, then quite frankly, they can do what they want to do with you. If they can prove that you have no intent to pay, you had no intent to pay, well, that's fraud. That's theft. And they'll pursue you vigorously. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the average Joe Schmo, the average customer that's normally paying their bills on time and something happens and they're not able to keep things in a straight line for a minute, however long that may be. Most people, it's a short time, 3 months, 6 months, maybe even less than that. So here's the deal. First of all, if you have an account with a particular company and time has passed by, let's say 6 months to a year, so let's say 6 months has passed by and you have not paid, and the company has made every effort to try to collect from you, phone call, email, whatever the case may be, And they've just decided, well, hey, we're just going to write them off and charge them to what we call a P&L, which is a profit and loss. That's an area of the company in their books where they say, hey, this is bad debt. We could slide this over here. Some companies have it set up where the insurance company reimburses them for that. Some companies just take it as a write-off, and they get to write it off at the end of the year off their books. Then here comes the collection agency. The collection agency comes in and goes to these companies and says, hey, you've got some bad debt over here that you tried to collect, you couldn't collect for whatever reason. We'd like to buy it from you. So let's say, for instance, if you owed $1,000 to a particular business, hospital, whatever it may be, let's say $1,000. Well, the collection agency will come in and offer anywhere from 20 to 25% of that total debt to the company that you owe to buy that debt from them, and they will try to collect it themselves. They will buy the account from the company that you owe so that they can collect it. They will pay 20 to 25%. So you're looking at 20% of 1,000 is 200 and so forth. So they'll pay $200 to be able to collect that other 8. That's how they make their money, and fees and different things of that nature. So once they get your account, now they're calling you, telling you what they want you to do, that they've acquired this account from so-and-so, and they want you to pay. You're not supposed to have to call the other company anymore. They've sold the account. They've gotten it written off of their books or gotten paid by the insurance company. They're through with the debt. You can't borrow anything else from them for a certain amount of time anyway, or you don't owe, there's no sense of contacting them for the debt as far as the collection agency is concerned. Well, I tell you, when you get down to dealing with certain issues, first of all, you made no type of contract with the collection agency. The collection agency bought the debt, bought the contract from the company. From that point, they are trying to collect the debt as if you owe them. You don't owe them. You didn't get a dime from them. You didn't rent any furniture from them. You didn't lease any furniture, or you didn't put any furniture on credit with them. So you really don't have to deal with them. Now, bear in mind, if it has gotten to the situation of a collection agency, then the issue that's going to affect your credit, it has already happened. Whatever negative effect it's going to have on your credit, if it has gone to a collection agency, it has already happened, and probably is not going to get too much worse, if any more worse at all. It's going to be right where it is. Whatever move that they make, the company makes, if they sell it off, then that collection agency assumes it. Whatever hit to your credit is going to happen. It's not going to happen 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. It's going to happen. It's going to be derogatory, of course, but it has happened. So from that perspective, all of the tough talk that the collection agency calls you and tells you about this particular bill that they bought, that they want you to pay them, threatening you with bad credit ratings and stuff, don't even concern yourself with it, because whatever issues have taken place took place when they sold the account. The company sold the account to them. So from this point, the collection agency, all they basically have is bluff game. Bluff game. Most companies will take money that you owe them and pay and accept those funds. If you owe Company A has bad debt on you for whatever reason, they sell it to Collection Company A. Collection Company A calls you. You don't have to deal with Collection Company A. If you have any intentions of paying the bill, trust me, Company A will take your money. And that's going to be better for you, because you'll actually be able to satisfy that debt without any extra fees that the collection agency is going to get from you, because that's how they make their money. So when they call you and say, are you a Mr. or Mrs. John Q customer? You don't acknowledge them. And you never give out personal information to anybody on the phone. Any company calls you with regards to a debt, you don't have to give them any personal information. If they're calling you, asking you, are you you? Think about that. Think about that. They're calling you on your phone number that you didn't give them, asking you to verify that you are you. No, no, no. We don't do that. You don't do that. You don't do that. Let them submit it to you in writing. Let them validate the debt in writing. Let them validate the fact that they owe you, that you owe them. You don't owe them. They bought a contract from the original company A. You can still deal with company A. Company A will take your money. Company A will also work on your behalf to get collection company A off of your back and tell collection company A to leave you alone. What he or she has satisfied the debt with us. Therefore, all collection proceedings should stop. Now, here's the tricky part. The collection company may say, to hell with that. We're still going after them. We paid you for this account. You shouldn't have taken the money. That's how the collection agency will be, the collection company A will be dealing with company A. They'll be like, you should have taken the money. You sold us the account. And then you'll have them going back and forth, but they'll make the resolve. The issue here goes back to you. You don't give out personal information on the phone about any debt. You don't admit to any particular, unless you know who you're dealing with, who you're talking to, and what you're talking about. You don't admit anything on the phone. You don't agree to any of that on the phone. In the day of email, utilize your email. Ma'am or sir, you say that you have a debt. Please forward that information to my email. I, in turn, will read your information and make my decision from there. Keep it that way. That's if you want to pay them. That's if you are willing to pay the collection company A that's collecting the bill that they bought or contract that they bought from company A. Now, a lot of companies wouldn't like the fact that I'm telling you this, because the number one thing that they have in their favor is intimidation. And what I'm saying to you is you don't have to be intimidated. You don't have to be intimidated by collection agencies, bill collectors, because they're people. There are people on the other end. The other end of that phone has a human being that has bills as well. They have a job to do. Of course they do. And you don't want them to not do their job. But at the same time, if you are going through issues and matters, the last thing you need, other than a past due bill, is a past due bill with a company that has no understanding. And they're out there. They are out there. And you, as the customer, have to learn and have to be willing to stand your ground with these people and let them know you're not going to be treated this way. You're not going to be talked to this way. You're not going to divulge personal information on the phone unless you want to. If you know that you owe and you're willing to pay, and you accept the fact that company A has sold the contract to collection company A, and you're willing to deal with collection company A, that's on you. But you don't have to do that. Because as I say, you didn't get anything from collection company A. You got it from company A. And you have to be willing to call them and deal with them. And I can't guarantee, because there are certain companies that have certain things going on with collection companies, and they make their money and they wash their hands of, so it's business. So some companies, you're always going to have a select few. Some companies are going to refer you to the collection company A. But for the most part, you can deal with company A. So understand this. Never divulge this type of information over the phone. And never admit to a collection agency on the phone that you are who you are, unless you're willing to pay what they're talking about. Make them have to prove the debt to you. Respectfully, you know you owe. You're just not willing to facilitate the debt through them, because all they're going to do is take your money and pocket it. You don't want to do that. If you're going to pay the people that you got your services and goods from. They'll deal with you in most cases because they want their money. They only got 20 to 25% from the collection company A that bought the contract in the first place. So you would best believe they want to make more. They want to make more. I'll give you a personal story to kind of sum up what I'm saying in that particular sense. At one particular time, I had some storage in a storage facility, and I owed a certain amount, and I was having some rough spots, going through a rough patch at that time, and I had some valuables in that storage. Of course, we all have used storage facilities before, I'm sure. And at that time, I couldn't get the storage paid. Wasn't doing too well financially. So I was talking with these people, and I knew what I owed, and I called them. I said, well, hey, I don't have all of it. I have this amount. And they were so hard nosed with me. No, sir, Mr. Darnay, no, sir. We need this amount, or we're going to auction your storage off. Well, I don't have to tell you how that would make me feel and how that would have made you feel, I'm sure. I couldn't pay what they wanted. I couldn't pay what I owed in full. They wouldn't take my partial payment, which what I must say was at least 75% of what they wanted. They wouldn't even take that. Well, they auctioned off my storage, and I lost a lot of valuable things. They had the audacity to call me after the auction and say to me that the auction did not yield the type of money on my particular storage that they normally would like to have had. Therefore, there was a negative. My account was still open, and they wanted me to come in. They wanted me to come in and pay the remaining amount of what was left from the auction sale to what I owed, which probably was maybe $150 to $200. Think about what I'm saying to you. A company that would not accept 75% of what you owed them sold your stuff. The monies that they sold it for was not even what they wanted you to pay. And they're calling you to say you need to come and pay the rest of it. And you don't get your stuff. I can't tell you on air what I said to this particular individual on the phone, but it wasn't nice. Think about that. To have the nerve to call me and tell me that I still have a balance from you after you sold my stuff, and what you sold it for was not even what you wanted from me and what I was willing to give you, and you still say I owe you? No way. We don't operate that way. And I advise anybody that's caught in a situation like that to do the same. Needless to say, I haven't heard from him anymore. I haven't got any phone calls, any letters, because somebody in the office said, you know what, damn it, he makes sense. Why would we call him and want him to pay the remaining balance and he doesn't even have his stuff anymore? Why would we do that? Why would we be silly enough to think that this man is going to come and pay us and he doesn't get his stuff back, but we want him to pay the difference of what his auction didn't pay for in his balance? Those are the type of tactics that they're using today. So you don't give out any information on the phone. You don't admit to anything on the phone unless you want to, and you're willing to accept the fact that you owe the debt, and you accept the fact that party three is trying to collect the debt. Outside of that, go back to the bill collector. Go back to the original person you got your goods and services from and deal with them. It's pretty strongly to say that they will deal with you. They will work with you. Pardon me 1 second, please. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so the second thing that you need to understand is that in dealing with bill collectors, they're people. And sometimes you can get on the phone with a person of a company that is not too friendly, not too understanding, not too open-minded about what you're trying to talk with them about. If you're trying to call a company and get them to understand that you can't pay when you want them to, when they want you to pay. So you need to have an individual on the phone that is a little receptive to that. And sometimes, so if you're dealing with a bill collector and they have different people working in the office, they have different people that you can talk with that have power over your situation, try to get to that individual that is most likely to see things the way that you're projecting them. Sometimes you can make a phone call to a bill collector if you're calling them, and you get the wrong person on the phone. The wrong person means the person that's just no nonsense. We've got to have it this way, no other way. Damn what you're going through. Damn what you're talking about. Have our money. If that's the one person you got to deal with, then you got to, we'll discuss that later. But outside of that, you hang the phone up. You say, well, thank you for all of your help. And you hang the phone up and you try to get someone else on the line. And don't be the type of individual that can't call and say, hey, I was speaking with someone on the phone that wasn't too productive with regards to the outcome here. They didn't see things the way that, you know, they were a little belligerent. They were a little abrasive with me. And I need to speak with someone that's less abrasive. You can do that. You can ask for that. You can ask for that. If you've got an individual on the phone, respectfully of the nationality that it may be from India, a lot of these companies have their collection company calls coming from India and other places across the water. You can ask for another person that speaks fluent English so that there can be no misunderstandings about what you're saying. Because some companies have the the situation where they can they didn't log in your account what should have been put there. They didn't do anything with regards to writing down or jotting down in their computer notes what was discussed. We've all been through that. I won't name drop the companies that do it, but they're local. They're local. So you have to make sure sometimes if you can't understand the individual that you're talking to, it's no big deal to say, hey, ma'am or sir, pardon me, respectfully. May I speak with your supervisor, please? Or may I speak with another agent? I'm having an issue understanding you when you speak. The clarity is not there. Could you please turn me over to a supervisor? You have to take control of the phone call. You have to put yourself in a position of running the phone call. Don't let people bully you with the tough talk, with the weird language, all the different types of jargon that they use. They're calling now, threatening people, talking about taking them to jail. Let me say something to you. If they're calling you about it, they're not taking you to jail. Because people that can take you to jail knock on your door. Okay? And they have paperwork to show for that. The sheriff's department is the only one that can take you to jail. Now, they can file paperwork. In most of these cases, these are civil matters anyway, and they're not criminal matters. So, with them being civil matters, they had to take you to court. There's nothing criminal about a bill. You can't go to jail for not paying your house note. You can't go to jail for not paying your car note, your utility bill, your phone bill. You can't. Those are civil matters. So understand that. Don't fall for the intimidation that a lot of these companies like to use. They love to use them on people because they know a lot of people's biggest fear is jail time. Now, in dealing with bill collectors, and when they call you, if they call you and you talk with them, you've acknowledged that you are who they say you are. You don't have to go along with their stipulations on how you're going to pay the bill. Of course, they're going to have an outline of what they'd like you to do, but nobody knows your finances better than you. And when you come to them and they come in and say, well, ma'am or sir, you owe us $1,000, so we're going to go ahead and set that up in 10 monthly payments of $100 a piece. Well, they would assume that you're going to be intimidated enough to go along with that. You don't have to go. You don't have to accept that. Even in this situation of acknowledging the debt, you don't have to accept that. You can say, well, no, ma'am or sir, respectfully, I disagree. I'm not at liberty to pay that. I can't afford to pay that. This is what I can do. I can pay you 20 payments of $5 or $50 a month to accumulate to $1,000. It's a longer period of time, but it's more convenient for my budget and the budget of my family. So if you want to get this debt paid, this is the best way for me. And you can say that to them. Now, if they say, as I'm pretty sure they will in most cases, well, that's unacceptable. Well, then it gets to the point now, well, okay then. So it seems as though if you're not willing to satisfy this debt, so at this point, I say to you, I'm not at liberty to pay it. Do what you need to do. Once again, the damage to your credit report has already been done. If they could have filed a garnishment of wages on you, they would have taken that action prior to the collection agency. Because trust me, when people have the opportunity to garnish your wages, that supersedes everything. Yeah, they will make the paperwork trail to show that they made collection attempts on you. But if the ace in the hole for them is a garnishment, where you actually can get a court order to attach their wages, by all means, that is the next step, not to a collection agency. So if a collection agency had it, that's basically just a ploy to just, this is all we got left, is a lot of tough talk. It has already hit your credit report. It has already hurt you if it's going to hurt you. There's nothing they can do. It's just an intimidation factor. That's all everybody's trying to do. That's all these bill collectors are trying to do, is intimidate people into paying their bills. There are certain companies out here that actually pre-bill you. Your bill is $50 a month. It's January. You've already paid January. February bill has already hit before January is even over. And maybe March. Just as a reminder. The whole concept behind it is to make you assume that your bill is higher than it actually is. They'll tell you something different, of course. Take it from a person that worked in the business. They'll put those bills, 2 months bill on one bill, to give you put you in the mindset that you owe more than you really owe at that particular time, which makes you what? Want to pay more or think you have to pay more. They play mind games like this. Anybody tells you that they don't believe it. I worked in the business. I know. That's how they play. And when you're dealing with issues of people having derogatory credit, unacceptable credit scores, they'll do anything. I went to a company in this town years ago as a youngster, and I wanted to buy a car. And that gentleman told me that if I wanted to buy a car from them, that they would have to follow me to my home, see me turn the key in the lock, and then they would believe that that's my address. This is a company that's still in business in Memphis right now. Respectfully, they don't do business like that anymore, so I won't put their name out there. I say it to say this. Those tactics were way out of proportion back then. I didn't buy a car from him, of course. Way out of proportion. But today, that's totally plausible. That's extremely plausible. As I said earlier in the broadcast, I had a company or a person that I knew that had a company that called them about their neighbor. They knew their neighbor. The company called them and asked them, hey, do you know Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so next door? And they were like, who the hell is this? Well, this is so-and-so and so-and-so. We see that you may be the next door neighbor, and we wanted to know, do you know them? Do they live there? These are the tactics that they use today. I wouldn't be surprised here in a minute that they wouldn't have drones, damn it, going around neighborhoods looking for people. I wouldn't doubt it. Pardon me. So when you're dealing with these bill collectors, and people calling you about debt, get yourself in the mindset that you're a human being and you don't have to be subjected to these type of draconian tactics and different things. Um, in responding on paper, the pen, oh boy, the pen. In this day and age, it's not the pen, it's email. We all email and Gmail and so forth. So nothing beats a wonderful letter. And if they respond to you in letter, then you respond back in letter. If they keep the correspondence in email form, you do the same. Unless there's something in that email that you disagree with and that you feel that you need to get absolute clarity on, that's when you make the phone call. Outside of that, correspond with them the way they correspond with you. If there's a debt that you feel that you don't owe, that you are getting flack from a collection agency about, respond in kind, send them a letter, and they have to validate that within 30 days to you. If they don't validate it, then they have to leave you alone. In other words, they have to prove that debt. Well, they're going to prove the debt because they bought it from company A. Your issue is that you don't have an issue with collection company A. You have an issue with company A. So respectfully, you tell collection company A, hey, I don't owe you. I have never bought anything from you. I'm not going to pay you. Go pay company A. When you're dealing with these companies, they're in a position where everybody gets bonuses in the top tier levels of management. So there is a high concentrated level of pushing their collectors, pushing their customer service agents, whatever they want to call them, to collect and collect and collect because everybody gets overrides on what they collect. And if they're a straight out collection agency, that's their bread and butter, then that's what they're going to do. And their tactics are going to be out of proportion. When people are coming to repo your car, pardon me, as long as they do not breach the peace, create a disturbance, banging and knocking on your door, or creating damage to your car, or having to break in your car, or do something to your car to acquire the possession of it, that's called breach of peace. They can't do that. If you are standing by your car and a repo jack guy pulls up to your car, he can't take your car. If you tell him that you're getting ready to drive away, you can drive away. You don't have to be bullied. You don't let them bully you. If they're coming to your home and you hear them pulling up in your driveway, when you step out of your porch and you step on your porch, you tell them get off your property. If he can't get it without breaching the peace, meaning if he can't get it without you knowing about it, that's his fault. That's his bad. He has to wait until the time is convenient for him. Not convenient for you, convenient for him. If he has to catch you 3 in the morning, that's his business. But if he comes to your house at 3 in the morning and you getting out of your car and he pulls up in your driveway, you have the right to say, get the hell out of my driveway. Even though you know why he's there. Calling the police is not going to do anything because it's a civil matter. It's not a criminal matter. He can show all the documentation in the world. That's for him. It's not for you. So you don't have to bow down to that. No, no. Get it tomorrow. Catch me at work. Catch me in the street. Wherever you can. You can't take it from my house. I'm standing here. I'm telling you, no, you can't have it. No, you can't have it. Breaching the peace. If he has to go through a particular thing or a generality of a bunch of stuff to get your car, he can't open your garage. He can't do that. He can't open your back gate. He can't do that. So don't let these people intimidate you. Don't let them do it. And these bill collectors, when they send you bills in the mail, and you get the mail, and they threaten you with all types of garnishments and so forth. Let me say to you, if you truly don't have it to pay, you truly don't have it to pay. Let them do whatever they're going to do. Don't worry yourself about it. But if you are disputing the debt, Credit Karma is one of the best places that I've seen at this point, up until this point, where you can go and dispute anything on your credit report. You can dispute it. Now, of course, there's bureaucracy. You've got to fill out forms, and I mean, it comes with the territory, you all. So you have to go through those procedures, but you can dispute it. And they will actually contact the company. And the company will get some form of response back to them there, and they're going to get a response back to you. So there are ways of handling these things. Don't be boggled down by them. Don't be boggled down. Don't be intimidated by phone calls, by emails. You've got companies now that are texting people. Texting. Don't be bogged down with that. Don't be intimidated by this type of stuff. The best way to handle these collection agencies is to let them know first and foremost, I don't owe you anything. You bought a contract from a company that I dealt with. I had nothing to do with the sale of that contract. I didn't get any permissions with that. Now, a lot of times I can hear people saying, well, that's the way it goes. No, 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 no. That doesn't mean that you have to accept that, because that's regarding contracts. That's regarding a agreement between you and another company. Here comes a third party buying off what these people classify as bad debt. Go and pay them and see will they take your money. I bet you they will. I 10 to 20% of the companies would probably send you to the collection agency and say, hey, we sold that to them. Go and pay them. No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They're going to deal with you directly. You dealt with them directly. And that's actually the best way to handle it, is dealing directly with the company. Okay? Now, when these people call you and they're being belligerent with you, with these, with being condescending and trying to be have negative overtones about you, maybe about your finances or your lack thereof, you don't have to accept any of that. Hang the phone up. Explain to the individual, ma'am or sir, I think you're getting out of bounds of your phone call, telling me this or telling me that. Let someone call me that has a little bit more respect. Or until you can get some respect, until you can understand that I am a customer and there's a certain amount of respect that I deserve, call me back, or I'll call you. Or divert them directly to your email. Forward all information regarding this particular matter to my email address. I'll go over it and get back with you. Do business the way they do business. They don't like it when you do that. They're used to you being a sheep and just going on with the herd, being scared, being punked out, paying up, putting yourself in debt, putting more stress on yourself. I say alleviate the stress. Deal with it in that manner. Sit back and compartmentalize your situation and look at it situation by situation, issue by issue. These are not problems. Bills are not problems. If we have to stop looking at them that way. Bills are not problems. They're only issues, circumstances. You have to change your method of thinking when it comes to dealing with bills as well. It's not a big chain that's put on your back. I know it feels that way sometimes. Me too. But I even remember that I have to keep myself in a mental capacity of understanding that they're just issues. They're just circumstances. And you have to deal with them that way. And some of the circumstances are going to be what they are. You have to deal with the truthfulness of, hey, you got to pay them. Some people, hey, depending on circumstances, let's see what it is. Let's see what it is. These collection agencies and bill collectors, when they call you, the intimidation factor is their most prized possession weapon against you, scaring you into paying them, worrying the hell out of you with phone call after phone call after phone call. Pardon me 1 second, please. Thank you again. Phone call after phone call after phone call. And it's not necessary. It's unwarranted. And you have the right to let them know that. You have the right to do that. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to stand your ground just because you owe. Some people figure because they owe monies and they're behind on their rent, they can't call their landlord. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And you can call your landlord 2 months behind and say, hey, I'm still in here. Until you go through the procedures of getting me out of here, I'm still a tenant. Therefore, come over here and fix this. Now, some people don't want to wake that dog, that lying dog. I understand that. But you still have the right to do it. Whether you do it or not, you have the right to do it. Until the proper procedure has been done to alleviate you out of that property, to get you out of that property, you are still a tenant. As much as they hate to do it, they would have to do it. So, it's all about how you deal with these things, how you accept them, how you view them. Don't let this stuff run your life. Don't let these intimidation tactics get you. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Now, a lot of us are having issues with housing. I've been looking over the years and I've noticed that um, you got a lot of rental companies out there that are renting properties that, quite frankly, are subpar. But the necessity of housing is there, and unfortunately, sometimes we as a people do things we really shouldn't do. Um, we do them. We get caught up in things and circumstances. Well, when you're dealing with a housing issue, as I said, until the procedures are done to get you out of there, that bill collector has to still honor what they're supposed to honor contractually. Until the procedures are done to remove you and you've been removed, they are obligated to still do what they're supposed to do. But we as individuals, we don't want to stir the pot, and sometimes we deal with things as they are. And sometimes we do that. We do that. But legally, you don't have to, and that's what we're talking about. Legally, you don't have to. And saying these things to you, I say to you also that we have to be more in depth on our study of what we can and cannot do with regard to our bill collectors and so forth. That's why this information is so important that I'm bringing to you, because these are things that we need to know and understand that you have the right to do these things. They don't have the right to do what they want to do to you just because you owe them. Just because you owe them, they don't have the right to treat you like anything and anybody. And you can stand your ground legally and keep them off your back. It's not a problem. All you have to do is be willing to do it. Just be willing to do it. Now, one particular thing about dealing with these bill collectors is you have to be humble enough to know that there is a debt that you incurred that's going to have to be taken care of. So as I've stated, if you owe something and you know you owe and you know you should pay, go ahead and pay. Alleviate the problem headache, man. Go ahead and take care of it. If it's something that you can get rid of by going ahead and taking care of it, take care of it as best you can. I don't sit here and tell you not to pay your bill. That's crazy. I'm just trying to talk to you about how to deal with the people that you owe, how to deal with them with their tactics. That's my biggest issue here. If you owe, you must pay. But that doesn't mean you have to be treated a certain way or accept certain treatment because you owe. That's what I'm talking about. So remember that you have got to be willing to stand your ground, deal with your bill collectors head on, eye to eye. And when you're dealing with these collection agencies, man, let me tell you something. I'm telling you, you don't owe them a dime. You didn't contract with them. You can go back to the collection to company A and do business and let them know, hey, I don't want to deal with these people. These people are charging ridiculous fees that I shouldn't have to pay. My apologies to you for not being able to pay you in a timely fashion that we originally agreed, but here I am, and I'm willing to pay. They'll deal with you. And it'll be in your best interest to deal with them because they will get these people, the collection company A, they will get them somewhere and tell them, hey, have several seats. And that's what you want. These collection companies are out to make money. They have no concern about your personal well-being or your personal feelings or what you're going through financially. They are there to collect money. Remember, they bought the contract, not the person. They bought the contract from company A, and they want to collect on it. They've already got a vested interest in the contract by paying 20 to 25% to buy it from company A. So they want to collect. They want to collect. It's your job to let them know that you don't have to deal with them. Whatever issues that's going to take place with your credit will already have taken place by that point. If they had a stronger hand to play, such as garnishment, that play would have been made prior to the collection company. It never would have got to a collection company. In my experience, collection companies don't garnish wages. I've yet to see one. There may be one out there. I'd advise anybody that's got a listening ear that's listening tonight, if you know of a collection company or collection agency that has garnished wages, please feel free to send that information to me, www.mtowntonight.com. I'd love to find out who that company is and do a little research on them. I'd love to find this out. Being a person that's worked in this business before, I'd love to find out who that is. The bigger picture with bill collectors and debtors, uh, owing debt. We're in a time right now where everybody wants their money. Companies are being let loose by the Congress and the Senate and all of these people. Get your money. Go at them. Go get them. The bankruptcy laws are much, much stricter now. It's not like it used to be in the early 80s and mid 90s where you can go and file bankruptcy and say, hey, I don't have a dime. I can't pay these people. File Chapter 7, wipe the slate clean. If you had your house note and your car note up to date, you could keep those two items. And everybody else, I don't owe you, I can't pay you. Pay the lawyer takes care of it. Chapter 13 wage earner used to be you go in and say, hey, these are my bills. I want these bills cut in half, the monthly payments cut in half over a 5-year period, which is what was the normal time back then on a wage earner. And you pay those companies out as best you can within the plan. Basically, you take the payments of everybody that you owed and cut them in half. So if you owed $1,000 worth of payments going out a month, that would cut it down to $500, and you'd pay $500 a month toward all of those bills. And at the end of the 5-year consolidation, which is basically what it was, whatever was left, you would either pay that flat out or pay that in installments or whatever, however you and the attorney chose to work it out. But the attorney would definitely get its money, get his or her money. Well, it's not that way today. It's not easy to file Chapter 7 today. It's not easy to file Chapter 13. You have to be making a certain amount of money to file a Chapter 13, and you have to be in a certain situation or criteria to file Chapter 7. And you have to have some credit counseling done. The last time I checked, I think it was either 8-hour class or an hour-long conference call as far as the credit counseling if you were to file. And these things were set up so that people could not use those as easy way outs. When I worked for the collection company years ago, Chapter 13 and Chapter 7 was an easy way out for a lot of people. Excuse me. Not today. Not today. You have to make a certain amount and you have to have some stability to be able to file Chapter 13. Think about it. In order to be able to file a chapter that says you don't have any money to pay, you have to have a certain amount of money to pay to be able to file to say that you can't pay. Let me try that again. You have to have a certain amount of money that you're making to be able to pay what you say you can't pay and what you're filing for. You have to be making a certain amount. You have to be on your job a certain amount of time to be able to file to say that you can't pay this over here. That's deep stuff. But that's the way it is now. And we have to learn how to adapt to these things. We have to learn how to adapt to these things. The last thing when I want to talk about with regard to handling the bill collectors is this. And this is very important. At no point in time should you make your obligations make you feel as if you are less than human or less of a human being because you can't meet certain obligations. If you are truly, truly trying your best and throwing every stone in the water, everything you're trying to do, you're pushing hard. Don't let this stuff worry you. Don't let this stuff get to you because it's all just, they're just issues. They're just issues that we go through as human beings. And the intimidation factor that these companies like to use, in particular now, these companies are just gung ho. They call you at all times of the night as best they can. They've got the Autobots calling you early in the morning, 15 times a day, 15 different phone numbers. You know, these companies now, they'll call you on their personal cell to catch up with you. Well, I think that's really low class. Some people may disagree, but if a company has to call you from their cell, I don't know. You know, some people would say, well, if you answer your regular phone or you answer during the regular hours of the day, they wouldn't have to do that. I hear that, but that doesn't mean that they have to go to that extreme. Going and sitting on an individual's job, that's too extreme. These are things that put stress on human beings every day. I shouldn't have to concern myself with seeing you sitting in the lobby talking about a $49.95 payment. It shouldn't be that way. But in the event that you have those circumstances, in your dignity, understand that you don't have to put up with those type of collection tactics. You don't have to be talked to that way on the phone by anybody. Hang up the phone. You don't have to be intimidated with your credit by them telling you, well, hey, if you don't pay it, then we're going to do this to your credit. If they're calling you, whatever can be done with regards to your credit has already been done. However many points you're going to lose for it being on your credit report, you've lost them. Nothing more pretty much can be done. If there was something else that could be done that had a more powerful effect on you and your finances, with regards to company A or the collection agency, such as a garnishment, they would have done it by now. They wouldn't even pursue a collection company because remember, a collection agency has to be paid first. They go and file the necessary fees to get you garnished. It's the cheaper way out for them. And it's a court order. A collection letter is not a court order. A garnishment is a court order. Employers have to follow a court order. Collection agencies. A collection agency send a letter to your job. Number one, that'll be out of place and they'll be way out of line. And you would have the opportunity to get a chance to get with them legally. Speak with your attorney on that. But that would be just low class. And furthermore, the company would look at it and say, well, hey, why the hell are you sending it to us? He works for us. We don't pay his bills. We don't take care of his business. They wouldn't know what to do with it. That's why they don't do it. So, in the end, understand. Don't be intimidated. Don't let the phone calls, the emails, if it's certain things, if the company pops up out of nowhere on your job, you have the right to tell them when they call you. If they pop up on your job, at your home, don't call my job. Don't come by my house. When you call my phone, Call with respect and dignity. If you're not calling in this way, I'm not going to speak with you, regardless of what I owe you. Demand your dignity and respect. Everybody that's behind on bills, that doesn't make them bad paymasters, like they don't want to pay. Most people want to pay their bills. Most people want to do the right thing and will do the right thing. But when you get to a point where things have gotten tough, finances are slowly coming in, slower than your bills are piling, or your bills are adding up, at least you hit that rough patch, know in your heart of hearts that you're still human, you still have dignity and pride, and just because you owe makes you less than anybody else, any individual, especially on the other end of that phone, because that's a human being too. That's a human being too. And if you can talk with that person and reach some common ground, great. If this person is belligerent, or if this person is not being receptive to what you're wanting, ask for somebody else. I do. In most cases, it works for me if there's an issue that I'm trying to resolve. If I'm talking with an individual on the phone and things are not going the way that I want them, or I see this individual is being closed-minded on my situation, respectfully, may I speak with your manager? If somebody's going to tell me no, or hell no, or pay me, it definitely won't be someone that's not being open to what I'm trying to say. At least to the degree to where, hey, I understand what you're saying, but I have to let you speak with my supervisor. If you got a no, 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 no individual on the phone, don't deal with it. Call back, get another number, get another person on the phone. Call tomorrow. Ask for the manager, supervisor. You don't have to deal with that. You really don't. Even in person, if you're dealing with an individual, you're paying a bill, and this person is just short with you, you don't have to deal with that. Ask for somebody else. And I'm not just speaking from a personal standpoint of their personality. Personality plays a part. They may be having a bad day, but that doesn't mean you have to go through it with them. You don't have to experience it with them. How you know how people can put it in their language? May I help you? What do you need? You don't have to deal with that. You don't, and don't deal with it. Don't deal with it at all. I love talking to people. I love sharing information. Um, I couldn't possibly put 20 years of experience in the finance industry, collection industry, into an hour plus broadcast. If you want to know more, if you want to know other tactics and strategies on how to deal with bill collectors and so forth, contact me, www.mtown.com tonight, mtowntonight.com, excuse me, and leave an email. I will respond to you. We've got quite a few emails from last week. Um, Talking Tuesday went pretty good. Got a lot of emails about Talking Tuesday. Talking Tuesday, if you have not tuned in, is basically a night where I just talk about anything and everything. We're working on the phone line where we can actually get people to call in, as people have been asking to do, and submit questions. But right now, if you've got a topic or something that you want me to discuss on Talking Tuesdays, email me again, at mtowntonight@gmail.com, or go to the website www.mtowntonight.com. Leave us a word, drop us a line, and I'll respond. I'll respond to all emails, whether positive or negative. And if I choose your topic to talk about on a Tuesday or Thursday night, we have a M-Town Tonight package for you. Okay? So feel free to communicate with me. I love to help people, and I also love to help people help themselves. When you learn something and you benefit from what you've learned, and you can teach that to somebody else, or you can share that information with somebody else and watch them grow, excel from what you went through, and they didn't have to go through the growing pains. That's called wisdom. When you can utilize information that people have gone through and paid the dues to learn, they've benefited from them, but they had dues to pay, and they pass that information to you, and you don't have to go through the paying of dues that they went through. You can be a benefactor just by having the information and applying it. That's what wisdom is, and that's what we at M-Town Tonight want to do. I sit here before you, not as better than you. I'm not better than you. I'll never be better than you, but I am you. I'm a human being that has been through experiences and learned skills and learned different tactics over the years of my life, and through the experiences of people that I have communicated with and had relationships with, business and personal, that have been shared with me, that have enhanced my life. It is my goal in life to give this information away, to share this information to people, with people, so that they can experience productivity, success, peace of mind. That's what the M-Town Tonight movement is all about. Uplifting people and empowering people to do better and to help other people do better. Y'all, I don't care what we say. I don't care what we do. We won't get anywhere unless we help each other. That's the only way it works. That's the only way it works. We've got to help each other. So I love coming to the table and bringing information that I think is helpful, that I think can be insightful. And I love to hear your emails. I love to read emails. And let me tell you something. When I read emails, I don't read them as if I'm Caesar. I read emails and I get negative emails. You have people that have their opinions. Hey, I respect your opinion. If you don't like what I'm doing, if you don't like my background, if you don't like what I've got on, hey, that's your personal opinion. I'm not here for you in that regard. I'm here for people that can take information, that are willing to use information that is given to them to try to help them propel themselves forward, and them sharing that information on. I'm not here for the negativity. I see it, I read it, I even acknowledge it, but I don't accept it. So I can read your negative comments, and I don't get a lot. Now I'm gonna be very frank with you. I don't get a lot. For the most part, the people that email me are of positive nature. They, hey, keep up the great work, man. I love what you're doing. I love what you're saying. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Those are the people that I thrive for. The negativity, I read it. And if it's something worthwhile, if you have some form of point, I'll respond to you. I'll communicate with you in detail. I'll always respond back to your email as long. Now, we're not getting hundreds of emails. We're getting tens of them. We're getting plenty of them. We're getting them. So I'm at this point, I'm able to respond to them. As they grow, and hopefully they will, we'll do the very best we can to respond to as many as we can. But those ones that have that special glow, those are the ones that we'll pick to discuss sometimes on the show. And you will be rewarded for, as well as a basic, sincere thank you for emailing and taking the time to email. For those emails that just stand out, even the negative email, you'll get an M-Town Tonight package, which consists of a coffee mug and an M-Town Tonight pen, which I think is pretty cool. I had one here on the desk, but looks like my wife My wife slipped off with it. I had a little something, and then I was drinking earlier. But since I began to drink my cocktail, um, I hadn't even paid attention to it until I just realized now. I had it on the desk here. But at any rate, that's what you get when you send your email in and we pick your email as a topic of discussion either on Tuesday night or Thursday night. Wow, 15 minutes past the hour of 12. Happy Friday to all of you. I'd like to say thank you for tuning in. As I say to you, I can't put 20 years of debt collecting practice or debt collecting tactics on how to deal with them in an hour video. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email me at mtowntonight@gmail.com or go to the website www.mtowntonight.com. Leave a word. I'll get back with you. I say these things to you with this in mind. I am not a lawyer, nor am I licensed to practice law in the state of Tennessee or the United States of America. I am a paralegal. I'm not allowed to give you any form of legal advice. However, I have the right to share legal information with you. That being said, thank you for tuning in to M Town Tonight. We'll see you next time.